Good morning, everybody. Apologies in advance. I was supposed to do this yesterday afternoon. I've got like 3 or 4 shows, and I had to keep moving them around for other stuff going on. You know the drill. Always going to be back. Always going to be back. Just like you guys. Just like you guys. Let's see who's here. Our friend Amanda's here. Uli. Chris. They're my girl Kat. If you saw the show yesterday for Summer Wells, Kat knocked it out of the park. She about made me fall over 2 or 3 times. Not just her humor, but mad facts. You guys have got to check it out. And of course, hang around for this because we got a lot to talk about. Someone that's always got a lot to talk about, our friend Kane Corso in the house. Mama Kay. Mama Kay, how are you feeling? Because I know you're not resting the way you're supposed to. Everybody tell Mama Kay to rest. Doctor's orders. Hello, Chris, preschool granny. Keldis, what's up? Sonia Allen, Angel P, JTB in the house. Wolverine. Wait, am I in the right place? Damn right you are, Wolverine. Pat K, good morning. How is everyone doing? Hello, Avi. Muscles and Mascara. She's moonlighting right now in Texas. She wasn't liking the humidity the other day. And we miss her very much. Hello, Michelle. Be a shiner, not a whiner. Lisa Aldridge, Gaelic, Eddie. Life Chaos. Where you been, girlfriend? I know you've been real busy. Everybody got all the kids off to school yet, or did they start after Labor Day? Beth made it. Roxanne, yeah, smash that like on the way in. Smash it. Jules. Zach Walker. Zach, set your reminder because at 1 o'clock we're going to go through some things, and we watched it yesterday in Discord. If you're not a Discord member, it's free. It's free. The only thing is, just you got to acknowledge the rules. Be careful bending them, if you know what I mean. And you have to be active. If we haven't heard from you in a while and suddenly you don't see Discord, just because we thought you were uninterested. Nobody wants you not in there. Just, it's a chat room, you know? Connie Branch. Girlfriend, I don't know what you're talking about. You have nothing to apologize for, but I'll go look at it. Rockin' Robinson, Tiana, hello, Tamara. Okay, Life Chaos says theirs starts after Labor Day. Ours has always started, my kids, myself included, like, good Lord. It's like you barely get into August and it's time to start. But anyway, glad all the kids are getting off to school and hopefully had a good summer. So anyway, like I said, turn off your phone, Brooks. Let me turn this thing down. Nope, I don't want to turn it off all the way. Dadgummit. Probably turned off the wrong thing and it'll still ring. I don't care. It's fine. All right, so we have a lot of stuff to get through today. Still talking about Monkey Vaughn. Talked about him for too long. Not because this case isn't very, very important, but because he's still gone. He's still gone. It's a very hot topic. Some creators have stepped away from it altogether. You guys are cool. We don't have to see eye to eye, but we agree to disagree. Speaking of agree to disagree, I'm trying to find a happy medium on when to do the members' lives. I've been trying them like different days. If I have to do one like early morning, for those of you in other countries, I can, and then try to hit one later in the week. So I'm trying to get everybody's times together. So anyway, we do have a special guest today I'm going to bring up who also has been heavily covering this case. And let's bring him up. His name is Level Headed. He told me a funny story. He said, when you first started, He said, I used to watch your show in the mornings. He goes, and I was one of like 5 people in chat. So it's even an extra special guest because he hung around for that shit show. Here we go. Hey, Level-Headed, what's up? You're muted.
Good morning.
Good morning. I unmuted you.
Yeah, I was sharing your live real quick.
That's a very important thing to do. Word to the wise.
Yes, indeed. I see a lot of familiar faces in here.
You bet. You bet. So I'm going to talk about the press conference from last week. It was publicly put out that the parents are cleared. They're not of any interest. Of course, we're going to talk about that. I want to hear your opinions, what you think, and we're also going to talk about the timeline. I have a lot of interest, not just in this case, every case. I always talk about the timeline.
Good, because there's a lot of things wrong with the timeline.
Well, from what I see from law enforcement, the only problem I see with it is that in less than an hour, you can't commit such a heinous crime. And no, I'm not making it out there that Monkey's no longer with us, because I don't believe that. I've never understood how in this short amount of time, and it's been shortened. It was shortened when they had their press conference in July. In a short amount of time, unless Tyler is Spider-Man, how you can commit a heinous crime, clean it up, and cover it up. I've never understood that.
You are exactly right. I was keying in on somebody else's timeline, but
piss on that. I don't care about that. I'm going off what law enforcement said.
What law enforcement says. Yeah. I was with a retired detective yesterday, and he says the exact same thing, that it doesn't make sense in the amount of time and being on public camera, that when Tyler went to we can get into that when you play the thing, but when he went to the splash pad and he was on camera there, that there's not enough time to do what people are suggesting or thinking that they have done. So there's not enough time in the timeline to do anything.
And what I base it on, I understand that in this community, it's split. It's either the parents have nothing to do with it or they have to. I get it, because in these cases, 99% of the time, it is someone in the household when something happens to a child. I get it. I compare cases often. Yesterday, we did a show about Summer Wells, and in that case, we're looking at, from my summation, 4 or 5 hours of dead air where we can't fill in any time. And so, I have, that gathered with Candace Wells' history of child abuse, it's just kind of an easy dot for me to connect. I brought up the case of Letitia Staunch. I'm really big about reading the initial arrest affidavits, particularly when they spell out the timeline. And the timelines are always long, from when the crime is committed to when 911 is called, when the parents are involved, or step parents, aunt, uncle, you get where I'm going. And with Letitia Staunch, it's gruesome. I don't want to get into it. And many other cases, I'm just using her as an example. It wasn't a quick hour. Okay?
Yeah. Usually it takes a lot longer than an hour if you did something wrong. And usually when that happens, you don't pick up your phone and you're not calling tons of people. There may be one person that you call, and that's it, usually, is when I investigate some of these or look into some of these cases, you could tell a lot by how many times they call somebody. So
Well, Letitia, I'll actually put it in the Facebook group. I'm using her as an example. I pick on that nasty, vile thing quite a bit. Not going to stop. I mean, I was off the top of my head, I'd have to look at it, looking at about a 4-hour timeline from when the murder of Gannon occurred to when the he ran away phone call was made. And even in all the time she gave herself for cleanup and cover up, his room still lit up like a damn Christmas tree when they sprayed it with luminol. Okay.
So was there only one phone? There was one phone call that was made.
Oh, there was a lot of other stuff going on because she was trying to make up busy time.
Yeah.
There was a Facebook post, very Terry Hormanish, if you know what I mean. There was a Facebook post. She got active on the phone really quick, but there was a lot of dead time in there. So anyway, I actually did a case comparison between, I've used her quite a few times. Let me put it that way. Anyway, so that's always been, besides the fact that Monkey is not home, that's always been my hang up on this case is how, based on other cases, not just Letitia, how can such a heinous thing occur, cleaned up, covered up, not just cleaned up and covered up, but to the point where over a year later, you see where I'm going?
Well, there's too many people in the house as well. So,
and I didn't even touch on that yet.
Yeah, for any of that to happen too. So there's a lot of key factors into this case that there's the timeline. There's no way that anything nefarious could happen based on the timeline that's given and based on the moving parts that were actively at the house. So a lot of people form their own opinion, but when you put facts down and really sit down and do a timeline, doesn't leave much room for error. So
there would be so many mistakes. It would have been done and over by 10 o'clock that night. In an hour?
Yeah.
And I'm also trying, in the balance of fairness, I really am, I'm trying to find another case to compare it to where a crime, cleanup, and cover-up happened within an hour. I'll even push it to 2. I can't find it. I can't find even one. What I have found very interesting is in cases of true abduction. I'm going to use Sean Hornbeck as an example. It takes a very long time to establish an abduction, but not that long to rule it out. I don't know. I don't work there. They don't let me in on these things.
Yeah, that's after watching the parents speak on some of the news media stuff and just the hurt and the emotions that they have over their son being gone, I can rule out, and by their actions, I can rule out a planned abduction by the family pretty quickly in this one. I just think that there's other surroundings going on, and it's taking the people that are pressuring. Like, I haven't seen anybody go and look into any other people that are around on that block, on the next block over, on acquaintances within the community or any of that. It's been the center of the focus has been on the parents this whole time. But when you have they're not connected in any way, but I'm going to use the Summer Wells case as an example here. When that case happened, you have other people coming out of the woodwork that are on the block, that are in that area, that are involved with the parents and stuff like that. You don't see that in Monkey's case. Mm-mm. So it makes it even harder when you don't have other people that are speaking, or other creators that are digging, or other researchers that are digging in on the surroundings that are right there and presenting any of that information. So it's limited to the viewers when you are driving a narrative, and I always use that word, but when you're trying to show the facts of that the parents are guilty, but you haven't even looked into anybody else surrounding them or surrounding the neighborhood. And that's
100%,
where I'm
100%.
taking things.
I think I said it not the last show, not the birthday show, might have been the show before for Monkey, when I said, look, you can't keep the focus on them with an hour timeline, because it's not going to lead to finding him.
Well,
let's open the scope.
Especially when you have a car that the police just released, like that there's a car out there that they're looking for. There's a picture of a person that they're looking for, and nobody's digging. I've dug into them. I think I know where all of them are, but I've turned a lot of stuff in, but it's, why are people not searching for those? Who's the owner of the car? Who's in the picture, and why aren't they directing the center of focus where law enforcement is telling you to? It's mind-boggling.
Like when you're trying to do you have children?
I don't.
Okay, I'm going to use myself as an example. When mom's trying to get something done in the house, and so they find something to keep the kids busy with, kind of like that with law enforcement. They've got work to do. So if social media is going this way, they're like, fine, because they're not bothering us, type of thing. That's really how I look at it. I don't care what they talk about as long as they're not bothering us. Because at the end of the day, what we think isn't going to solve anything. And a lot of people, I'm not saying people in here because we got the coolest community ever, don't follow a case to the very end. So there's a lot of, they haven't told us this, they haven't told us this, they haven't told us this. And I get it. It frustrates me too. But if you follow a case through to the very end and it gets in front of the jury, if it gets that far, there's no plea deal or they plead guilty or whatever, and it's all spilled out in front, then it goes, ding. Now I get it.
Yeah. There, and a lot of, I'm not going to name names here or anything, but there's a lot of channels that are reusing content and information that was already done months ago on another social media platform. So it's not, so to me, because I've been following it and was digging in on this stuff for a long time. And for me, that's all old news to me, but it's being brought back up and it doesn't make any sense to me because that's already been out there played for months already. So there's no relevancy in it. And it's hard as watching what's going on with the case. It's hard for people to explain to an audience that this stuff has been out for months. Is just nobody, it was on a different platform. So now it got brought over here on YouTube, and I've already seen it all. I already know that it's all out there or whatever. And it's kind of disheartening because they didn't even take any of that and then expand onto new research or anything of it and look at other people when that's been out for months. And that's where the biggest thing is keeping Monkey's face out there. So
I don't know if you caught the show Monday morning, and it was Stacey Jones was on the case of Kayla Jones. She was murdered. She talked about she hit on it a little bit. We've talked more in depth about it before. And the online hate that she as a parent got. And she said it's hurtful. It upset her. I mean, of course. But it's all about Michaela. So those things just slough off. And she said at the end of the day, they're helping Michaela because they're still talking about Michaela. One way or another, they're still talking about Michaela. Now, she doesn't want people dogpiling her and hating on her. But that's just how she wants justice for her daughter. So these people don't mean anything to her.
Well, that's the biggest thing. So we'll put that one in. That's funny that you covered that case on Monday, because on Sunday I put out a video where I have a team of people that I work with, and we've been helping the Timmy D's mom. And Michaela was in one of the articles that I found on Timmy D's because it happened in the same county.
Oh, yeah.
And there's another guy, Durante Martin is another guy where his autopsy got overturned as well.
Let me write that down. Who is that again?
Durante Martin.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
And that James Wade, did the mother mention anything about James Wade as
no
a problem?
Mm-mm.
So there's a guy named.
I brought up other cases, and then she came up. She didn't really take on that.
Well, there's a James Wade guy that had the Durante was in James Wade's attic, and they handed, quote unquote, Durante Martin, they handed him a gun, and they say that he pulled the trigger on himself. Well, that got ruled out as a suicide on a second autopsy, and that there's no way that it was a suicide. And there's problems there, big, huge problems. And then the Timmy D's case too, are in the process of getting a second autopsy, but the first one isn't complete yet. So I'm going to go into all three of those cases. And then there's a judge's property that's on that same road. And they just found another body over there like 5 or 6 days ago. So there's a problem there, and something's going on. And I'm going to dig into it a little bit.
It's a mess, because if I name more than 5 cases in one area, we got a problem. 5 cases in one state, we got a problem. But I do want to hear way more about that. Carl said, "You're all lovely people, and I thank you for that. You're lovely too, Carl." And I want to look at this comment by my friend Pat K. She said, "I think that the person that took him has some sort of connection to the neighborhood, friend, or family that lives around Monkey." I do too. I'm kind of in the, I think he was taken from like his backyard or something. I don't think this was done in plain sight. It was, what do you think, Level-Headed? We're just theorizing.
So we're going to theorize here that this is by no means what has happened, but there's 2 types of abduction. There's familiar abduction and then just total stranger abduction. And I actually hope that it was a familiar abduction, in my own opinion, because then more than likely he's safe and taken care of. And the stranger abduction, that's when it gets leery, because the stranger doesn't want to get caught. So I actually very, very hopefully hope that it's a familiar abduction. And I lean more towards that on the more evidence and the more different things that are coming out. I just think that I just lean more towards that. It's a town of 5,400 people. So I grew up outside of a town of 1,200 people. My grandparents lived in town. We would play out in the front all the time. And I just think that whoever it was had to know them. And that's just my opinion. You just don't wander down that street for no reason. And it would be a very, very slim chance that you would just coincidentally be on that street at the same time that he's outside. So I couldn't see that happening.
I couldn't either. And, we're going to play the clip here. Now, the clip is for your knowledge, I think we have some other creators in here. The clip is from KTVB. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Now, I did check them out, who they're owned by. The last few months, I haven't ever had a problem. No, I have. I did have a problem. It's not like a game ender or anything, but some of these news corporations are doing copyright claims on videos that you use. And you just go through the process and stuff like that. But I always have a problem with one. It's always on the Michaela Jones case. It's owned by Tribune. But this one, we should be good. Either way.
Well, so
that's my problem, not anybody else's.
Well, that's funny that you say that, because I have a clip that the Tribune didn't even own on the Kylie Rodney case, but they claimed it as a copyright claim, and it's one little segment. It's only about 3 seconds long, and it's when Yeager is speaking on camera. And I've never had a problem with media ever before, and that's funny that you say that, because I'll have to check out so that I don't ever use their content ever
That's
again.
what I had to look at. Yeah.
KTVB is good.
Well, YouTube is the one that needs to look into that. YouTube gets almost half of the earnings. They don't want to do that. So they need to talk to their people. They need to say, hey, no. Fair use is for everybody, my friend. Fair use is for everybody. Unless there's, you have something. I'll talk. I'm getting way off track. But that's okay. We're having good conversation. All right, let me get to the clip. And like I said, there won't be any problem with that. Yeah, I am getting off track. I was doing one on the Turpin family. And I want to say it was a clip from 2020 or something, shut down the whole stream. And I'm like, dirty, aren't we? So I just had to throw the thumbnail up and we started again with different content. It goes without saying.
Yeah, KTVB will be good. The biggest thing that they rely on is no bashing or harassing of victims or people in the case, and they won't have a problem with you. So,
no, I've never had a problem with them. I just had to go and check it out. I know it's Tribune. That's the one that always gives me a problem. It's not a big deal at the end of the day either way. I mean, because the video is still, you can still see the video and everything. It's just not going to get promoted as much, I guess, is how they put it. Anyway, it's just YouTube's pissing everybody off. All right, let's get to this. We're not going to watch the entire thing. I just want to get basically the updates when they talk about, how they've cleared the family, and then we're going to do more discussion about the timeline. I'll put the link up for anybody that wants to discuss whichever side you go. And like I said, I'm also and also out of my own curiosity, if anybody can find a case involving one person, hey, if it's multiple, I don't care, where a crime cleanup and cover up happened within an hour. Like I said, I'll even push it to 2. Just out of my own curiosity, I would love to see it. Because trust me, I've looked.
Before you play this, hold on one second. For the listeners out there, listen to the agencies and the hours and exact equipment that they used. So you're going to see a lot of different equipment in here that they use. Just try to listen for the different types of equipment. So
what are we listening for?
Well, so they use drones, helicopters, infrared technology. Some people claim that they didn't search well enough, that they need more private eyes to go search the ground and all this stuff. But listen to all of they used boats. They used, what do you call the Garmin system to go in the bottom of the rivers. They put a lot of stuff, and it's very important. He goes really quick when he's saying this stuff, because he's done it every press conference. I just actually grabbed a hold of it in this one. So it's taken me, 4 press conferences to actually understand the technology that they actually used when they were trying to find them. So.
Okay. Well, that all is going to be over my head, but you can walk us through that, because I just trust that they've searched. Okay. I'm kind of the dumb one. What is this going on? What is there? Is something getting deleted? I'm not touching anything, guys. I haven't deleted nothing.
No, there was just a couple of messages, but I don't know what was said because I can't see them. So.
That's weird. That's what I get for talking crap about YouTube. I got to look at that. Hang on.
What's that? Right there. Right there. My pinky little toe. And Cam can be just to the left of you. Yes. Obviously, I'm going to shorten it up because we have quite a few people representing here today. But I'm going to start over here with my FPD staff. I've got Sheriff Andy Creech with the Payette County Sheriff's Office. I've got Chief Gary Marshall with the Payette City Police Department. And I've got Chief Mike Eway from the Ontario Police Department. To my left here, I've got Captain Sire Armstrong with the FPD. I've got Kerry Gordon with the Washington State Patrol. What? Sahota, I'm sorry, Cam. Cam Sahota with Camway Transportation. Brandy, Tyler, and Bob, the Vaughn family here with us today. So thank you. Sorry about that, Cam. I'd just like to quickly cover the context of this case. And I know I do it every time, but we may have some new listeners and some people just kind of tuning into this thing as it's huge. So since the evening of July 27, 2021, the Fruitland Police Department, the Idaho State Police, the FBI, Idaho law enforcement agencies, and law enforcement agencies across the country have investigated the disappearance of then 5-year-old Michael Vaughn. We haven't stopped. Every day we have unfinished business, and our investigation remains very, very active. We know that Michael Joseph Vaughn was last seen near his residence on Southwest 9th Street at approximately 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, July 27th of 2021. Law enforcement received the first 911 call at approximately 7:21 p.m. and we issued an endangered missing person alert to the area and to area residents seeking the community to help be on the lookout. Information was sent to the law enforcement nationwide through the National Crime Information Center regarding Michael's disappearance, and he was entered into the State of Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse and National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The Fruitland Police Department, Payette Police Department, Payette County Sheriff's Office, and over 100 law enforcement officers and from federal and state local agencies converged on our small town of Fruitland that night. Physical search efforts were conducted by experts from the Idaho Fish and Game, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, both Fruitland and Sand Hollow fire departments, and immense citizen help. Our search included over 3,000 acres of farm ground, 29 miles of riverbank along the Snake River, 250 residential homes, outbuildings, septic tanks, garbage cans, vehicles, irrigation ditches, and drain canals. We used fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, sophisticated drones. We used boats, sonar, specialized canines, kayaks, and paragliders. We served over 30 search warrants, and we continue to review hundreds of hours of security and other data. And we've logged tens of thousands of hours as we continue to work this case. Our department has processed over 1,200 leads, many of which we've been able to clear, many of which we are still working on. We've had a lot of law enforcement across the entire country and internationally help us chase down some of these leads.
Internationally scares me. I know there was hot topic when they say last seen at his residence. I take that because the timeline said, and I will tell you what newspaper I got this from. Hold your horses. 6:37 p.m. is when the neighbor took Monkey to his backyard. That's where I think why they say residence. It doesn't mean he was in his room.
So that article says that he took him to the backyard or took him to the front yard?
Back to his yard. Big
back to his yard. Okay.
Big difference. I'm glad you caught that.
Well, yeah, because I know some other stuff, but I can't say. But I was under the direction of that article saying back to like the yard or towards the mailbox area on the property. So
no, big difference. Big difference.
Yeah,
now,
I just wanted to make sure.
walked him back towards his home. Let's put it that way. His feet hit the grass, possibly. Okay.
So he was cited at 6:37. Walked back to his property. Perfect.
We're going to clear that up right now.
I'd like to note that after a year-long thorough investigation, the family is not a focus of our investigation at this point. They are continuing to fully cooperate with us in all of our efforts from the investigation standpoint. Today, as members of this community, we continue to agonize with the family, and we continue to dedicate our resources to bringing Michael home safely. We believe that the continued distribution of this story will generate more attention and more tips and help us get this thing, get some resolution to this case. So there's no tip that's too small or benign that we won't investigate. With the help of Tanea Parmenter with the Idaho State Police, we're excited to partner with the Washington State Patrol's Homeward Bound program and Camway Transportation to carry Michael's information across the country on semi-trailers like the one I have behind me. We know that exposure along the interstates and highways and the roads of this country will help bring new leads and potentially help us bring Michael home safely. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Carrie Gordon. She's with the Washington State Patrol, and she's going to be talking a bit about the Homeward Bound program and our exciting new partnership. Carrie?
Thank you, Chief. As the Chief mentioned, I work for the Washington State Patrol. I manage the Missing Persons Clearinghouse, and I'm the Amber Alert Coordinator for Washington State. I'm essentially Tanea's counterpart in Washington. So the Homeward Bound program was actually started by the late Trooper Renee Paget. She sadly lost a battle with blood cancer a couple of years ago, but this program was Renee's vision. And it was brought to fruition in 2006 with then Gordon Transportation. With Gordon, the program featured, at one time, there were 27 children featured in the program. And each child had between 3 and 5 trailers traveling around the country with Gordon at the time. So a lot of exposure for these cases and a lot of tips and a lot of new information generated for these cases for law enforcement. And that's our goal. So I'm here to continue with Renee's passion. And so we're very excited to be able to partner with Idaho and bring some more attention to Michael's case and to help his family spread the word and get information out about Michael. So to us, the important part of this entire program is the coordination and partnerships that we have with all of the various law enforcement agencies that are represented up here, as well as the Idaho State Police, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and our various states' clearinghouses that border your state here. The trailers behind me are going to be seen by millions of travelers on highways around the country. And so imagine how many eyes are going to see this trailer as it travels throughout its journey. And this is one of what will be eventually 3 trailers that will feature Michael. And Cam, who is going to speak right after me here shortly, and his company have committed to this program for as long as it takes and for as many trailers as we need to bring attention to these missing child cases around the country. It's a fantastic partnership. We're very proud of what we're doing. And I just want to ensure the families and law enforcement that we are not going to stop. That is what we do. That is why we do what we do every single day. I've been doing this particular job for 10 years. I've been with the patrol for 31 years. And this is the most important job I've ever had. And the importance is that these are our children. These are kids. And they're our most valuable asset that we have in our communities, and we need to make sure that we provide them with the most attention that we can give them and bring them home to their families who are waiting for them every single day, every minute. So I'd like to introduce Cam Sahota. He is the owner of Camway Transportation, and he has been a very valuable partner to me. And I also want to recognize Cam's wife, Harneet, who is not here today, but she's been my logistics contact and to help me get these trailers on the road and to get them at events like this today. So, Cam?
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Chief. Camway Transportation is a trucking company and freight brokers based up in Blaine, Washington. And since we started the company in 2008, we've always been centered around giving back to the communities we serve. And when the opportunity to be part of the Homeward Bound program was presented to us, I thought it was an amazing opportunity and something that really aligned with our values as a company. And moving freight and moving trucks down the road is something we do on a day in, day out basis. But being able to do a little more, a little extra, give families hope, bring awareness through the featuring children on the side of our trailers is something that's near and dear to myself, my wife, my other partner, our whole company. We think it's an amazing cause, and we bring additional hope, and we think that there's through this awareness that we can assist these different agencies that are working very hard to try to help the families and bring kids home. So we're really, really excited to be part of this, and just the hope it gives everybody. You know, it's a big world. We're all parents, and anything that we can do, anything we can do to bring awareness, anything we can do to bring hope to these families is, I think it's worth its weight in gold.
It certainly is. And don't think his participation in this program, he didn't just say, sure, I'll do it. It's expensive.
The whole process. So this was done through Idaho State Police. So
Yes.
they took the information and took it to Washington State Police to get the information done. I wanted to clear that up for some people that it's all done through the police. So when you Homeward Bound is like a trafficking. They do it to show the pictures because of trafficking. They and when I say trafficking, a lot of people don't understand that. When I say trafficking, when you get abducted and you get taken from one place to the next, that's considered trafficking. Doesn't mean anything gruesome or anything nefarious is going on. But when you get taken from one place and you get taken to another place, that's called trafficking.
Right. So it's not always what we think of, what we see in movies.
It's not a 15-year-old girl when you say trafficking. That's not what's meant by it. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
So to put it into people's perspectives, when somebody abducts a child and takes them and moves them to one house, and then they're held there and well cared for, and then move them to the next house where they're well cared for, that is also called trafficking. So yeah, these are expensive. I was trying to do the math. I'm trying to get some more info on it. 3 trucks at $10,000 a piece, I would say. That's a lot of money to put in when you don't have evidence to point to that area.
And he's also a businessman. I know people don't like when I bring up money. It always raises the blood pressure. He's not going to put this type of cash into his trailers. Would they say 4 of them?
So it's 3 trailers, but what it's done is the non-for-profit Homeward Bound project is the one that actually puts up the funding for the decals. He supplies the trailers. So he's got three trailers that are out of commission probably for 2 weeks. And that's where he comes into play at. They ended up putting monkey's face. So the owner hasn't said this out there publicly, but they are doing 2 more trucks, so there'll be a total of 5. Just so you know. Yeah, there's gonna be a total of 5. At the press conference, there was 3 until he met the family, and he told the family that he would put 2 more. So there'll be a total of 5.
Okay, I gotta look at something really quick. I'm gonna leave that on this screen. Then I have another part of the interview, the press conference I want to play. Hang on, what is the name of the company again?
I don't remember. Hold on, Lana will have it in chat.
Lana is quite the source of information. I'm just wondering what their routes are. If they go coast to coast, or if they're specific.
So they do. Homeward Bound is it is not a non-for-profit. Sorry, I misspoke. It's operated and ran by Washington State Police. Oh, so I thought it was a non-for-profit. I was under the impression that it was, but it is not non-for-profit. And Camway Transportation is the company.
I'm just wondering what their routes are. Hang on.
Yeah, I know that they do majority like Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and into Canada. I don't know how far east or west they go, but I'd imagine wherever the money's going to take them to when you own a business. So.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying. Trust me, I know all about that. Okay, Lana said, "Me too. I was misinformed." Anyway, great program. Great program. All right, let me go to this clip really quick.
Well, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing that I know that now, because my team is contacting the Washington State Police Department to understand more about the Homeward Bound project. So we're gonna understand what the details are, because it'd be interesting if Camway is putting up the money. That would be wow, that's amazing if that's what's happening. So I don't know. We're gonna find out though, and when I find out, I will let you know, so that you can tell your people as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if other companies could get involved, instead of advertising your damn Black Friday sale coming up, we need more trucks around the country for abducted children. You're not going to put that type of money into it if law enforcement's saying, listen, we don't believe that the child is any longer with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But put the heat on the people that have the child.
Definitely.
I played when we were talking about the last press conference, the one in July. I had a clip that talks about the Homeward Bound project. I'll find that link. I'll find the show, and I'll find that link, and I'll send it to you.
Okay. You're gonna play more of this, right? Because the important part's all the way at the end, whatever you want to do here. But
I'm at 16 minutes. Do I need to go back a little ways?
No. Well, they did the. We'll talk about it at the end.
Okay.
What's the latest they want the public to know as the search continues?
As we continue this search, the public just needs to know that we want them to be aware and vigilant. I mean, we're still receiving tips on a daily basis. I mean, every day we're getting new tips. And so we do know that the message is getting out there. I just want them to remain vigilant. The last thing we want is for the coverage of this case to fall off, because Michael's still out there and somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. Either information's been omitted or they're just not bringing it forward. So I would continue to encourage those people that have any idea or have any information that may lead us to the safe return, that they bring that information forward. The reward stands, it's still active. So I'll leave it at that. Any other questions?
Is there like a solid lead right now that you're actively looking at looks promising to you?
I hate to be so cagey with my answers, but it is a criminal investigation. I will just tell you that there are a multitude of plausible leads. So, and it's just something that it's a painstaking task, and we're in here every single day. Every single day, we're working this case. So.
And is there any way that you could publicly confirm that Michael was knocking on neighbors' doors when he went missing, or can you not speak to that?
You know, I'm just not going to talk about the details of our investigation. So real quick, if we don't have any more questions, I did want to just take a brief moment and allow Brandy to make a brief statement. I believe she has something that she would like to say. So I think we'll just take a moment and do that. Brandy, if I can get you from there. You betcha.
Thank you all for being here today for Michael and our family. This is amazing and beautiful, and we want to thank all of you, all of the officers, all of the agencies. You guys have keep working so hard, and we're gonna get him home. We're not gonna stop. We're gonna find him. And every outside agency that's helping, thank you. It's a blessing. And whoever has Michael or knows anything and has information about Michael, please come forward. We need him home. We need our baby. Please. Thank you to the community and extended communities that continue to support our family, and law enforcement, all of the agencies that are helping to bring Michael home. They stand strong, and they stand with us, and we stand with them. So if you are seeing this, please, if you know something, please, if you know anything, please say something. You can be anonymous. There's so many avenues. Please, everyone, help us get Michael home. And Monkey, we love you, baby. You're coming home. None of us are going to give up, I promise. Thank you all for being here today.
All right, just my take. We can agree to disagree. Guilty people do not want the spotlight on where the guilt lies. They damn sure don't want a semi-trailer with the victim driving around the country to bring more attention to it. That's just what I think.
Well, so I'm going to tell your viewers here that so I speak with Brandy behind, like, we've grown a relationship, and she goes out every week. She goes out and takes the old flyers down and puts up new ones so that they're not weathered. 1 week she did it. She sent me some pictures, and she keeps the old ones and has them in boxes. And the one week she did it, there was over 100 of them that she switched out and put new fresh flyers up. And anybody that's guilty wouldn't waste their time, their dedication to find them. So
I know of 2 cases off the top of my head where the suspect, not the suspect, but someone that was covering for the suspect, took flyers down, took them down. So now, what part did I miss? You said we were going to discuss.
Where they said that they're no longer the focus of the investigation.
Oh yeah, that was at the beginning. Do you want me to replay it?
No, you're good. Just right at the end, play just a little bit more right at the end when the police chief goes to walk away. People need to see that part of it.
Before, because it stops right where I stopped it. Is there a longer version?
Oh, it stopped right where you stopped it?
Yeah, it's at the very end.
Oh, well, then they must have chopped it off. But at the end, Chief Huff goes and hugs Brandy, and then he hugs Tyler. And I don't know. I'm still challenging people that I want to know a case where a police officer actually hugged suspects, or not suspects, people that were guilty. I seriously, like, I'm not joking. I want to see a case that happens in. I can't find one myself, and I've researched it. I just maybe I'm missing something, and maybe there is a case out there that's like that, and that would be interesting to me to see if that actually happens. And
Sean Hornbeck's mother was in constant communication with the police, and as we know, Sean was abducted.
There is a version where Chief Huff hugs the parents. Yes. I have it on my channel. Hold on here 1 second.
Let's talk about the timeline for a minute, because I think we really need to focus more. I know while you're doing that, I think we really need to focus more on. We all know how much time takes, how much time it takes us to do things, whether it's to run and buy 10 items at the grocery store, come home and put them up, simple things. So when we're talking about making an entire human being disappear, we're talking less than an hour. And then also you order pizza in that time. So I see the neighbor takes Michael back to his yard. Let me get my glasses. This newsprint is too small. This is from the same station. It's confirmed that Tyler, he orders pizza. How many neighbors do we know actually saw Michael? I've heard 5. I've heard 6.
I don't know. I don't know what that answer is. That is publicly been put out there, but I would have to. I don't want to put anything out there that's not public already. So yeah. So I'd have to go back, but that would be good to see what actually publicly is out there. That'd be a good Facebook post to see if somebody already has that information and what the sources are.
Okay, so the Honda Pilot is seen in the area. That's on CCTV around 6:45. Tyler leaves the house around 7 to start looking for Monkey. Tyler is seen at the splash pad a little after 7. He calls Brandy. 911 is called at 7:21. If I'm off by a couple of minutes, I don't do it in seconds, you get the gist. You get the gist. He's seen at the splash pad. He orders pizza. This is within the hour. 911 is called. We're still talking about making a person disappear. You have to clean up whatever took place making that person disappear, and you have to cover up people don't evaporate. They have to be put somewhere.
You are 100% correct. And that doesn't leave a lot of time for anything. So.
Takes me longer to brush my teeth, curl my hair, and get ready to walk out the door. And I actually get ready fast. I don't see it. I mean, I know I've been saying this for months. Kat has a great video on this too. I'm going to reshare that. Neighbor brings Michael to his backyard. I'm actually going to be generous with time. I'm going to say, and they've tightened this time. Law enforcement has tightened this time. So what I'm saying, I'm grading on a curve. Let me put it that way. So let's say between 6:30 and 6:40, neighbor takes Michael back to the yard, back to his yard. Tyler orders pizza. This is 3 or 4 minutes later. Honda Pilot, which we still do not know anything about, seen on CCTV. In a neighborhood, most times people recognize when everyone drives. So I'm going to take a leap here and say after law enforcement questioned everybody and their dog in the neighborhood, they all said, I don't know who the hell's car that is. All right, so Honda Pilot seen on CCTV. Tyler at 7 o'clock leaves the house to look for Monkey by vehicle. After 7, Tyler is seen. Just after 7, Tyler is seen at the splash pad. Of course, we know the calls to Brandy. Confirmed by law enforcement, the 911 call came in at 7:21 p.m. We don't even have an hour here.
Yeah. Well, and he was seen on camera at what time? At 7 o'clock or at like 7 something, right? At the splash pad? Because there's cameras at the splash pad.
Yeah.
So that doesn't leave enough time for anything.
No. Also, and I don't like to bring minor children up or the other children in the house. I hate it. There's other children at home.
Yeah.
There's other children at home.
The other thing is that there's other children at home, but there's I lost my train of thought.
It's easy to do talking to me.
Well, I was thinking about something else while I was thinking about that, but yeah, I just wouldn't add up with the timeline. That part of the timeline, like that would have to be so calculated, and you would have to be a overly OCD person in order for that to be even possible. You'd have to be such overly OCD person and down to the second and minute of your life every day in order to strategically plan that. Does that make sense?
In plain sight, daylight.
Yes.
Daylight. It would take multiple people, lots of people. Somebody would have noticed a commotion. Dina says, I don't see how accusing Brandy helps because she's been trying to find her son and there is video evidence of Michael wandering. There's no evidence of Brandy or Tyler doing anything. Yeah, exactly, Dina. Exactly. Perfectly put.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. If people don't think, that's why when I watch other channels and stuff, and if they don't think for 1 minute that they've been fully interrogated, they've been fully, house has been fully gone over, electronic devices have been fully invaded. The social media accounts, I'm sure, are completely on lock, like completely watched all the time. They as a family have had no problems turning over everything to them. So, and you don't see that in other, whatever it takes to help to find their son. And you don't see that in other cases.
Well, you can volunteer or they'll volunteer for you either way. And they're still watching social media. They're still watching it.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff doesn't go away. Yeah.
No.
So they want to find their son. Brandy's in the house. Hi, Brandy. Brandy said 6:47, white Honda Pilot seen leaving. Tyler is seen on CCTV at 7:01 at the splash pad. Make it make sense. No. So, I mean, I think we've put that to rest.
And there's your 6:40 to 7 o'clock timeline, where they say that it happened in between that time. There you have 6:47, a white Honda Pilot, and then 7:01 he's seen at the splash pad looking for him. So if that narrows it down for anybody.
I put the link in chat. If Brandy wants to come up, Mama Kay said, praying for you, Brandy. What's going on with Dina? Dina never has any problems. Dina can grab the link too. Nope, it's open discussion. Open discussion. I mean, that we've talked about it several months now. It just can't happen. It's not possible.
It's too small of a window. Like, there's no way.
Dina's working. She said less than 20-minute gap. You can't. Look at other arrest affidavits. I'll put some together and I'll show you guys the timeline. I'll do it in the Facebook group. It won't be today. Probably won't be this week. I'm so ready for a 3-day weekend. Oh. I'll put it together and you guys look at the timeline in solved cases or close to being solved. They're just waiting for that gavel of guilt to slam down. And you see a timeline of a parent, step parent, family member, whatever, that is responsible for their child's, you all know what I'm saying. It's not in an hour. It's not in an hour.
Well, there's no way. And with the police coming in and searching and all of that, like we see in like the Harmony Montgomery case where they came in and they searched like the house like they did there. Like that's how they do it when they're searching houses and missing people, especially when it comes to children. So
don't get me going on that case. Don't even get me going.
I know, but I'm using that as an example of how thorough that search was. I'm sure the search, I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure the search of their house was pretty thorough, like what they were doing there. Maybe not as intense, but the spraying of the walls and all that stuff, I'm sure was done. And there's no evidence there. So, yeah.
Hang on, Lana's backstage. We're going to talk to Lana for a little bit. Brandy, thank you. She said, thank you for keeping Michael's beautiful face out there. Thank you, Brandy, for coming in. Brandy, do you want to grab the link? What's Buggy doing? Hello, Lana.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, hun.
Thank you for continuing to keep this story out there and for shining light on truth, while also allowing speculation and theory. I think as I've come into this social media whirlwind of missing persons community and true crime communities through my volunteer work with Monkey's family, you're really one of the few people that kind of have a great balance in that, where you allow people to discuss the theories without bashing, harassing, putting out misinformation and that kind of thing. So
won't have it. And I ask people all the time. I'm like, email me, or never happens. But we'll get, that's another topic.
Yes, I love listening to you and Kat sometimes in the morning, just having coffee and listening to you guys talk about whatever's going on. So we appreciate it. There's a lot happening right now where, since the last press conference, as you guys just went through it. So I'm happy to jump in the discussion and answer any questions or talk about, whatever was brought up, because, as Brandy and I have discussed multiple times, we need to keep the focus on Michael and where he's at and who has him and how we can bring him home. And that needs to start with shining a light on who's being non-compliant. Law enforcement gave us some information these last couple of press conferences, and that's what we need to be looking at.
Well, I think you are 100% right. I said not the last show, the show before. Well, who knows? I say the same stuff over and over anyway. Where I said, you keep wanting to bash the parents. You have a less than 1 hour timeline, and you can't even say parents, because one parent was at work. So parent, who also had other people in the house. I don't want to talk about the children, and I'm still looking at less than an hour. So I've been done with that conversation for a long time. You've probably heard me, but that's okay. We discuss whatever, it's your oxygen to waste. Let me put it that way. But I am very focused on the timeline. Of course, the main thing is Monkey. Obviously, we've heard, of course, the parents, not of interest. They've been more than cooperative. That's not going to be good enough for some people, and that's okay. They're still talking about Monkey. That's all right. I I've never heard that the babysitter, and no, I'm not saying she did anything. I'm not saying that she was there. I'm not saying she was in the neighborhood. I've never heard that she has been cleared. I've never heard she's a person of interest either.
Correct. You're accurate in that. Law enforcement has never publicly named any suspects, persons of interest in this case, nor have they publicly stated that anyone is cleared, quote, using that word cleared. That is accurate.
Well, I just when they say that the parents are no longer the persons of interest in the sleuth world, it would mean let's drive our focus to somebody else because something else has to be out there.
Well,
And
true. I agree with that. I'm just saying that the fact is, to answer the question, that nobody's been named. Nobody. I mean, even the parents. The parents were never named as persons of interest publicly. They were never named as suspects publicly. Yes, clearly they were investigated thoroughly because that's what happens. We've talked about that. Anyone who follows,
There'd be something very, very wrong in my America if they didn't focus on the parents first. And that's no
Correct.
shade at
Correct.
Tyler and Brandy. There'd be
Yeah.
something very wrong if you don't focus first on the people closest to the
a pregnant woman goes missing, the first person they look at is the husband and who's around her, directly. It's always that, and that's understandable, and we understand that. But very, very early on, law enforcement was saying that the family is being extremely compliant, and then they tell us publicly that they have several other people in the community that are being non-compliant. And I say in the community, they didn't say in the community, because since we pick words apart. However, who else would it be? It's not somebody in Maine that they're trying to, that's being non-compliant. Michael walked up and down a street in his neighborhood. He knocked on his neighbors' doors. It is neighbors that have information and know something. So, in my opinion, that's probably where the non-compliant people lie. Somebody's afraid they're going to be found because they have weed in their house and it's illegal in Idaho and they don't want the dogs in, or things like that, because it's leading holdups on warrant processes and getting information. And all of this is why it's taken over a year now and we're still without Michael.
And I mean, it's a stain on every case. Every case. I think they teach it in law enforcement school. If you ever get in front of a microphone, just remember everything's still on the table and somebody knows something. I mean, we hear it in every case. Definitely somebody still knows something. And at this point, your pot plant no one cares about. They didn't care about it the night he disappeared.
Right. And I think there's always there's always going to be, a handful of people that are going to stand behind, their constitutional rights. You have to remember we're in Idaho. It's a very conservative Republican state. So there are a lot of people that have very strong opinions about, this right of privacy and information process and what the law can and can't access. And I really want to remind people that, because that is heavy in this community. If you drive through there, it's a very Republican community. So a lot of people are like, wait, my word is my word. If I tell you I'm not involved, I'm not involved. And if you want to come
I don't see how this would have anything, not to cut you off. I just don't want anyone in chat to erupt. I don't think this has anything to do with anyone's political views so much. It comes down to, if you've got something to hide, you've got something to hide. And that's discussed in every case across the board. Shitty people aren't worried about voting day. And you've got something to hide. You've got something to hide. That's all there is to it. Somebody is not wanting to say something because maybe they were driving the Honda CRV. Not the CRV. What is it? The Honda Pilot. Honda Pilot on CCTV. I said that wrong. Maybe Maybe that person doesn't want to be cooperative. I wonder why. Maybe the person that they have on CCTV at the splash pad, who is not Tyler, has a reason not to come forward.
Over a year and they haven't come forward. So I agree wholeheartedly. Somebody just commented and said to look to the question that be a shiner, not a whiner. I'm sorry I missed that, but they were asking me to expand on the neighbor who walked him to the yard. I can expand a little bit on that subject, but not a lot, because that's information that, clearly law enforcement has kept back. Yes, there's, neighbors that they talk to. Early on when I came into this Facebook community support group, they had a timeline sheet in there which had like all the information and who they knocked on and who Michael talked to and everything. And I was using that to send to media to get interviews. And real quickly that sheet went away, and it's because law enforcement contacted our group and said, hey, take this down because we have people from social media using your sheet to contact and harass neighbors who saw Michael. So it's confirmed, he did knock on neighbors' doors. There is a neighbor who says that when he knocked on their door, this neighbor walked him back to his mailbox, or saw him walk to his mailbox. That's the story. And that's what's been out there. Law enforcement, as everyone knows, has never spoken directly to it in press conferences or statements. And there's a reason for that. So Michael has been tracked around the neighborhood. That's been spoken to by Brandy. Dogs did pick up his scent. Where that was picked up and dropped, again, cannot be released publicly because
good call. Good call.
Yeah, Michael's safety is at hand. So same thing with the neighbors. Yes, there is a neighbor, one of the neighbors that he saw, whose story to law enforcement is that when Michael knocked on the door, they either walked him or saw him walk to his mailbox. And so that is a story that is given, that's factual, that Ellie has, that is a statement given by, I should say statement, not story, a statement given by a neighbor.
You can't jeopardize a witness's statement by having their name, their face, and everything like that out there, because then they're really no good to you if they're being harassed by people. That would be crazy to say, oh, by the way, this is the neighbor's name. No.
Well, and these people are mortified and ridden with guilt because they were the last ones to see a little boy walking around the neighborhood before he went missing. So they are, they're human beings who participated in this process to, not laying blame. I don't blame them at all, and neither does Brandy. There's a whole list of things that coulda, shoulda, woulda been done clearly in this process, and we'll know more once we find Michael. But they feel horrible for not taking that extra step, But again, going back to, like Levi said, town of population 5,400, you guys have all looked at the map. It's a very rural, small town community where everyone knows everyone, and he was comfortable enough to go knocking around looking for kids, when he got bored. So these people feel bad. They don't deserve to be harassed for their participation and for that night and what they, some stranger calling them for their YouTube channel to tell them what they should have done.
I was getting ready to go there. I wouldn't want my name out either. And you have to protect witnesses in cases. I don't mean anyone that witnessed a crime, because we wouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
Look what they're doing to the 9-year-old girl who had a TikTok out walking around with Michael's older brother that night. This is a little girl who's just out there. I mean, I went and looked at her TikTok when it was up. I think it's been pulled. I don't know. And she's out there doing the makeup and the music and the dancing and the thing. And this video of this child has just been picked apart. She's been picked apart, and it's been made as though it's some kind of evidence, because of what they were saying on it. So these people have justification in being fearful of social media.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you know, I'm still looking at the timeline, of course. I'm never going to be off that until this is solved and Monkey's home. Also, with such a short timeline, and since law enforcement has made it smaller, a smaller timeline, I think it was somebody that was watching the house. I think it was somebody that knew that Monkey would go out and play with other kids and things like that. I don't think that the day that Monkey was abducted was the only day that house was being watched. I really don't. And I mean, they're not going to tell me. I just wonder if, because they're talking about this specific night, Honda
Yeah.
Pilot seen on CCTV, 6:47 p.m. And they would have done this. I'm saying I wonder, not
Right.
wonder if they're smart enough to do this. Far
Yeah.
back, they went back on that particular camera to see if they ever saw it before that.
Oh, and I'm sure they've done that as well. I've thought about those things too. Have they gone and tracked that specific vehicle's movement?
How many times was it in the neighborhood prior
Right.
to, is what I'm wondering for
I
myself.
imagine because of the agencies involved, I'm kind of like you, Brooks, that yes, that has been done and that data exists in their bank of evidence for building a case against this person, and that's just not been released to us. But I agree, because there's cameras everywhere, not just around that neighborhood, right? CCTV is an extension of a service, so that vehicle most likely has been tracked. It's my understanding from the press conferences and from what I know as well that the issue with the pilot and where the pressure needs to be applied is that the owner of the vehicle is known, but the driver is unknown. So whoever was driving and using it, and in that clip and what we've seen and who was there that night, is where they're needing information. What police said, I think it was a written statement on Facebook, because it was around the time that, you know, these phone recordings of Brandy saying the Honda was cleared. And I think she even used the word cleared too in a couple of the conversations. And I like to remind people that Brandy's not law enforcement, so her technical terminology is not equivalent of what was going on. The vehicle at that point had been identified.
Mm-hmm.
It had not been cleared. And I believe that is still the status of the pilot. It's been identified, but it's not cleared.
I just bet, and this is just my opinion, my speculation. Of course, they have the whole reel, probably going back 6 months before the day of the evening of Michael's abduction, that Honda Pilot was in that neighborhood, in that town, many more times leading up to. When a crime is committed like this, like an abduction, I'm going back to Sean Hornbeck, this was not a crime of opportunity. I'm putting it that way.
Well, and Brandy has said that publicly in interviews that, you know, after she kind of got through the initial, I want to say, month or so of just the whirlwind of chaos that it was, she really started to feel strongly. I mean, she felt strongly in the moment that Tyler said Michael was missing, that someone took him, but it took her a little bit to kind of process and remember and just kind of go back in her memory through all of her interviews and everything of times, many times she felt that they were being watched. And she started to feel strongly as they more times came to memory that, you know, someone was watching their family, because they are a very active family. You know, they don't just always sit at home and watch TV and play video games. They're taking their kids for walks. They are walking over to the splash pad. They are, you know, out and about, going for hikes, going for digs, you know, rock hounding, camping. So they would have been seen if someone was around and watching.
Yeah, because humans are, I learned this through time, but humans are people of habit. So there's habits that are formed prior to. Now, maybe those habits aren't being performed now with whoever did this, but
Right.
because they can't continue the same patterns or habits, but definitely before the patterns and habits were there.
Correct.
I think Big T summed it up. Nope, that neighborhood was cased and a plan was made, just waiting because you can see the habits of the family. This wasn't someone just happened to see the neighbor walk Monkey home and say,
No, exactly.
I just happen to be parked
So-
right here.
And Brandy has speculated this as well, and I don't think she'll care for me to say, but like one of the neighbors, I think she's even said on an interview before, or a video that was released, the neighbor had told Michael, like, go ask your mom permission to play. And so what if someone was watching and saw this and said, hey, do you need to go, see your mom, like Brandy at Albertsons? It's as simple as that, to lure a friendly, rambunctious child that's running around the neighborhood. And then after dad already told him that he can't go outside and play, he sure as heck wants mom's yes.
You're right.
Opportunity. And it's really simple when you've been watching and seeing the patterns. My father's a retired police officer from Payette. It's where I grew up, neighboring Fruitland. And when my kids were little, and he bought them like really nice bikes, and we lived in Boise. I was going to college, and he was talking to my boys about safety of their bikes and locking their bikes up, so because if someone steals the bike and this and that, and he warned them that it's usually going to be like neighbors or kids close by, because it's going to be the ones that see your bike that are going to want your bike. And after Michael was taken, I remember, because I've talked to him about this a lot, he's, again, retired police from the area, so he's following Michael's case and has a lot of opinions. And I asked him about that theory of the bikes and someone close to you taking the bike, and it does that relay over to abducted children. And he said 1,000%, because it's been his experience, they're less than a mile from their home, and it's because predators take what they're comfortable with. They take what they are close to and can see and can quickly, hide. So either someone came from the outside, I agree with you, and stalked the area and knew the area and saw the family's patterns, or someone close by that, also same thing, had been
And
nothing.
to the wise, we never know who's watching because we're busy in our own lives. And since Brandy's in here, I understand it's very hard to grab a link, come up. It's public. It gets dissected. Brandy, anytime you want to talk about Monkey, come up or whatever, I will set up a members live for you anytime. So that way it's you and it's a small group of people, and it will not be public at all.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I think she would appreciate that, because we, quite a while ago, when it comes to the social media storm, kind of sat down and discussed, boundaries on what we should and shouldn't talk about publicly, because it gets ripped apart. She says 631 in one interview and 632 in another interview. And those kinds of things are what are just being, dissected. And we decided, they've done the interview about what happened that day a million times over. We know what happened that day. We need to talk about how to find Michael. And so that's been Brandy's main focus, is just really setting up some strong boundaries and trying to ignore all of this bullshit that's going on social media with these select groups, and really focus on just talking about Michael and who has him, and appealing to those people and getting him back. So that would be,
I don't want to be
love to have.
I don't want to be crass and upset Brandy and Tyler more, but I've been doing it on my own. I just haven't put it on the channel, doing case comparisons with other abductions that are male. And basically, like we were just talking about, how it almost never is they've been watched.
Yes.
Yep.
They've been watched.
So I'm going to start closing this down. I appreciate you both coming up. My wheels are really spinning now. I don't know what pissed me off. Something really did. My wheels are really going now over this. I'm going to let you guys each say something in closing, and then I'm going to shut this show down for the next one. I got a lot of ideas, though, I'm going to run by both of you.
Okay. I can go first. I just want to people, whoever watches this, if you see a monkey poster out there, share it on your social media. tag different states, tag different places. You get it out there everywhere. If they're putting his face on semis to travel the U.S. and Canada, that means that we need to do our part too to get his face out there and to help bring him home. And Brooks, thank you for having me.
Hey, anytime, my friend.
Yeah, no, thank you so much too. Just to wrap it up, Birdie's Crime Chat. As far as we know, all cams have been, taking all information. Data is up to Ellie. You can follow. I want to close by saying all official information on Monkey's case, as always, please refer to the Fruitland Police website and Facebook. We do have a community Facebook group as well, Michael Vaughn's community search group, that you can come join and get information and posters, different actions that you can take if you would like to help. And if you go to our website, www.findmichaelvaughn.com, you can sign up for Monkey Mail, which is provided by the Kyron Horman Foundation, and we'll send you out a bracelet and other awareness materials for you to keep on hand that can help you to spread his story and just kind of keep yourself aware. So I just want to throw those resources out to close. And again, Brooks, always thank you so much for the open discussions and for continuing to shine a light on Michael and help bring him home.
Can't stop, won't stop. And I know you're going to hang in there too, my friend. So thank you for coming up. I'm so glad I finally got to talk to you.
Ditto. We're in the arena together and we're finally, linking arms. I love it. And am glad to have you as part of, Monkey's Warriors, as we say we are. And look forward to continuing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will. I was just reading something real quick in chat. I promise. Oh, did she click off? Because I didn't touch anything. Had some technical difficulties a little bit. Pat had her phone in her pocket. Anybody that got timed out, you were in Pat's pocket. That's why. So let's light the chat up. Bring Monkey home. Monkey is coming home. So Brandy sees us exactly, checking convictions. Monkey is coming home. Bring Monkey home. Be Brandy strong. Whatever comes to your mind. I'm going to start getting ready for the next show. I got a few things to do in the meantime. We're not going to stop the discussion on Michael Vaughn. Anything you can think of, of course, your theories, anything you have, if you catch us in the replay, leave a comment after the show. And let's just continue to keep Monkey's face and name out there. So I'll be back here around 1 o'clock Central Time. We're going to be talking about some developments, huge developments in the Kylie Rodney case. In the meantime, I will check in with you, dudes and dudettes, in Discord. And you guys are, hands down, the best chat and best community on YouTube. I will see you guys back here in a couple hours. Bye-bye.